What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls Podcast. Coming to you live from our studios here, West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Peck. My guy, Big Dave, BWL Sports. Our column producer, Joey Spath, is rocking the controls. And joining us once again from Nashville, Bulls Training Camp HQ. It's our guy, Will the Go Gottlieb, Will_Gottlieb. What's up, Will?
Often.
What's up, guys? I miss you.
Yes, sir.
Miss you too. How are things down in Nashville? We are kind of in between a two-a-day day for Bulls training camp, correct?
Correct. Practice this morning. Had a great interview with Vooch, transcribed it, wrote an article, jumped on the Bulls Central show with Jamal, and I'm here with you guys. It's chaotic, it's busy, but we're back and we're in basketball season, and it feels really good.
Well, how's the room? Because you didn't have it together last time we talked. How is the room?
I still don't have it together. I'm a mess. It's like a whirlwind in here, and I'm a clean and organized person. So when
I was going to say, that shocks me, having roomed with you in Paris.
Yeah, my side of the room was like pristine, and Joey was like rolling around on the floor and all of his clothes and blankets. No, I'm just kidding, Joe. But yeah, it's nice being out.
Were you kidding? That sounded accurate.
Well, I just didn't want to throw you under the bus, but it could be real.
Well, so obviously we can't wait to get into some stuff from your one-on-one with Vooch that you had earlier today. Before that, though, from this morning's practice, you said that there weren't any, media scrums with players after practice, but I saw you did post a couple of pictures of some guys still doing some individual work after practice was over and media was let in. I saw, that vid you posted of Kobe and Io doing some work on their handling, Zach LaVine and Javon Carter getting up some threes, and anything spicy or juicy that came from what media could get a look at when they let y'all in as practice was coming to a close.
Not really, unfortunately. I know people always want to ask about like what's going on in practice, what am I seeing, who's fighting who. But the reality is that they let media in to see like the last 10 minutes of practice. And really what that means is people are just shooting threes in the corner, and they play like competitive one-on-one shooting games. Like what you saw from Javon and Zach was a game that actually Vooch and Dragic and Simonovic used to play a lot, which is like you have to make two in a row from a spot and then you get to move on. But if you don't, or you only make one, then you have to go back. And so it's just like little shooting games like that to kind of add some pressure. So it's not just like shooting in an empty gym. And then we saw Ty Abbott, who's one of the player development guys working with Kobe and Io, working on some handle stuff. So it's just more skill work and kind of getting reps at that by the time that we get in there, as opposed to like seeing them walking through sets or anything like that. And even at games, they kind of like close down the floor for 30 minutes before games to go through, and they like turn off all the cameras and no media is allowed in there. They really try to keep that stuff private.
Well, did you have, because you brought up Io, did you get a chance to see him shoot? Like just shoot around, just shoot the ball? Because I saw some video from our guy Drew from the Bigs, who has a great interview with Io. And for me, his shot just looks a little bit different. Like he kind of changed his form. Did you get a chance to see it since you've been there, or?
I actually have not, and I haven't even really gotten a chance to talk or see Io very much, unfortunately, because it would be nice to say what's up to him. But look, I mean, the Bulls bring in Peter Patton, who's supposed to be a shooting coach specialist, to lead their player development. They've got guys like Io, like Dalen Terry, like Julian Phillips, even Patrick Williams to an extent, who really need to focus on developing and tweaking and altering the mechanics of their jump shot. And I would imagine Io, who is one of the hardest workers on the team, to be in the gym working on that kind of stuff all summer, the way he did last year, and I'm sure every year of his collegiate career and high school career as well. So would not put it past me to say that these guys have really worked on and look better as shooters. Clearly an emphasis coming from the top down of this organization as far as just getting up more threes, creating space, and being a more three-point heavy shooting team. So would not surprise me at all. I just haven't seen it with my own two eyes.
Will, you just recently published your newest work covering Bulls training camp on ALLCITY.com. You had a sit down with Bulls starting center Nikola Vucevic, and we've been talking a fair amount about how this Bulls offense can change this season from last and hopefully improve from the 24th ranked offense last season, and that maybe, despite what we know DeMar and Zach can offer this team offensively as two of their more talented scorers, maybe Vooch being the secret weapon, and maybe not secret weapon, but just like the key to unlocking a more fluid offense. Is that the jumping off point of y'all's conversation?
Yeah, and I think there's been not like confusion, but I think, the more detail we can get from Vooch and from really any player talking about their game, the better, because I think a lot of people were a little bit surprised to hear him say, like, we're going to use me more like Jokic or Bam Adebayo. Like it's kind of a bit of a surprise to hear, but that is the way the NBA is trending. If you have skill centers who have really high level passing ability, who can be good screeners, and who can make plays quickly and at a high level, you have to utilize them. And so our talk was basically, look, we've run into this problem where if the first action doesn't work, it's DeMar, go find me a bucket, or Zach, go find me a bucket. And even at times, before even looking to get into an action, that would be the case. The Bulls have to run more stuff, and they have to do a better job of getting from that primary action into the secondary action, into the tertiary action. And I think the way to do that is through Vooch. I think Vooch is the best passer on this team, and I think they need to utilize him in a way that emphasizes his skill sets, because you want him out there doing what he's best at. But if you've got a guy who's the best passer on the team, what's that going to do for everybody else? It's going to make them better. It's going to get them more shots. He's not going to be like racking up 8, 9, 10 assists per game. That's not who he is, and it's hard to do that as a center unless you're really a point guard like Jokic. But I think they want to try to play through him a little bit more, not as like the bring the ball up the floor and set the table kind of point guard, but just getting into actions and letting him be the guy who makes the next play. I think that's kind of where the Bulls have struggled most, and he really agreed with that, of just like, that's so much to ask a guy to just create something from nothing every single time down there. We need to do a better job of moving it across the court, keeping the advantage alive. And I think Vooch is kind of the best way to do that.
Will, did you learn anything about Vooch during this interview?
I've never learned anything.
Fair point. But on this occasion, I think maybe you did. I don't know. But I'm just going to ask you, do you think you learned anything new about Vooch? Because I tell you, like, the interview, like, just felt like he's always pretty honest, and pretty open when he's talking. But this one felt a little bit different when he was talking to you. It felt even more open and even more honest. So is there anything that you yourself kind of learned about Vooch doing this?
I think what I love about talking with players is learning the game from them. And so I think if they kind of understand that that's my mentality going into an interview, as opposed to like, let me get that money quote, like, let me put your name in a headline and get a lot of clicks off of it. I think that's when guys kind of open up and not just say like, I want to play, I want the ball more. They're kind of explaining what actions they need the ball in and how that can benefit the team. And so I think we really got into that. And that's what excites me, being able to talk with these guys. And I think they also, I'd like to think, I mean, just speaking out of turn here a little bit, I like to think that they appreciate that as well, where they can kind of trust you to not put their name in a headline and instead actually like try to represent what they're saying as it relates to how this team can perform better on the court. So I think, basically I said like, I don't mean this in like an offensive way, but like DeMar's so talented at what he does, but he's also limited at what he does, as we talk about, right? Like he's not a floor spacer. So can you do the stuff when DeMar's on the court? He was like, yeah, we can, it's difficult, but we just have to find adjusted ways to do it. So maybe with DeMar, it's moving those pick and roll actions that you get out of a dribble handoff and then a reversal pass a little bit closer to the basket than you would with a Kobe or a Zach. There's other ways to do it. And I think all these guys are smart enough and creative enough. And I think at this point, they're bought in enough to be able to fix that. And I want to emphasize the bought in enough part, because as much as we've criticized continuity and keeping this team together, if they had made major changes, I don't think there would be as much of a team decision and a team understanding that they need to play differently. Because I think just with adding new players, you inherently play differently. I think bringing back this same group and having struggled and to a certain extent failed their expectations last year, they all know it's not just we need to do this better. It's we need to find new ways to do this. We need to do this differently. And I think they're all on board with that. And I really do think Vooch is kind of the key to transitioning the Bulls, not just like take the ball out of DeMar's hand. I think that's really reductive, but transitioning them into a more fluid offense that, gets you a couple of actions, gets you a couple of clean looks. And if it doesn't work out, you've still got DeMar. It's more, you've still got him as opposed to let him do everything for you.
This to me is the most fascinating element of whether or not we can be believers in the Bulls offense being a different offense than the one we saw last year. Vooch doing more with his skill set, and I agree with you, Will, grossly underappreciated passing big man. His reaction time when he's on short rolls, making swing passes to corner threes, give and goes, the man is a brilliant passer. Maybe highest IQ player on the team now that Lonzo's on the shelf.
That's fair.
And he was talking with you about what they were doing offensively last year, just firing off this quote that you sent us earlier today. We realize it's something we really need to do as far as more off-ball action. I don't know why we were so stagnant in the past. We're a heavy pick-and-roll team, ISO team. It's hard to do that all the time. Putting that context alongside DeMar DeRozan and how he fits into this equation, and as you said, still being very good at what DeMar does best. We also heard from DeMar yesterday. You sent us a clip of DeMar talking after the training camp day one practice, and he seemed to be in agreement that they need to do some things differently this season. But we also all heard that last year, and nothing changed. So what did you glean maybe from sitting down with Vooch today, from hearing DeMar speak yesterday about these offensive changes that should make Bulls fans have any faith that these changes are coming? Because they said a year ago, we got to mix up this offense, and then they didn't.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's a fair point, and it's why all this stuff is fun to talk about this week. But when games actually get started on Sunday, we're going to see if it actually works in practice, because that's where you need to see it. You can talk as much as you want, but if it's not working in games, then what are we doing here? So we don't have the answers to that yet because we haven't seen it in games. I imagine it's going to take some time. But like I kind of said, I think that there's an understanding in this team, in this group right now, that it's not just, okay, yeah, well, we still got DeMar, and DeMar's way is the best way, or we've still got Zach, and really, as long as he's Zach, then he'll be able to get a shot whenever he wants. I think that there's an understanding of we've tried that and it didn't work. So we need to try something else because we don't have new guys. We don't have a new team that we can just say, all right, now let's implement your skill set and that will totally change who we are. It's the same guys. Javon and Torrey Craig obviously add a lot in terms of shooting and defense, but it's the same core. And I think they all kind of know they need to play differently. And I want to also hit on something you just glossed over there, Matt, which is that, since Lonzo went on the shelf, Vooch is sort of the best basketball IQ facilitator on the team. I think that's a really good point, and I think it's kind of an underrated element of how this can work for Vooch, because as good of a point guard as Lonzo is, and he was great, he was not Chris Paul in the sense that he was slowing the game down, running stagnant pick and rolls, getting into the elbows, getting into the paint, and then finding shooters or lobbing it up to the roll man. That was not Lonzo. What Lonzo did well was hit it ahead, move the ball, get to the next one, space out, and then be a shooter. He was good at quick decision making, getting guys the ball in their spots, and then being able to play off of them, and obviously generating a ton of chaos on the defensive end. But I say that to say Vooch can play similarly. He can get the ball to guys where they want it. He can be the one that is not necessarily running the pick and rolls with a big and throwing lob passes or finding corner shooters, but he can be the one that's shuttling the ball ahead, that's trailing the play, that's making the extra pass, that's reversing the ball, that's getting into the short roll and making plays out of that. And I think if they lean into that a little bit more, it will look more like Lonzo. Obviously, like I said, he's not Lonzo. That's just Lonzo's one of one. But I think his skill set and the way that he moves the ball quickly can help, incorporate some of what the Bulls are missing without Lonzo.
It feels like also, just to add to what Matt is saying here, it also feels like there's more of a sense of urgency with these guys to get something done this year, more so than last, because I continue to hear them say, and you talked about it too, the last dance, our last chance, our third year in this. And Vooch kind of touched on that, right, Will, about this kind of being the year, like, okay, if it doesn't work this year, then, maybe it might be some changes that occur, they look at right there. Maybe, what I mean? We don't know.
Maybe even the leaders of the hashtag continuity plan will all of a sudden fall out of love with the hashtag continuity plan.
Right. I mean, because if for 3 straight years it's not working, you know what I mean? Like, you might want to, switch something up right there. But it just feels like that, because we heard DeMar talk about that, jokingly saying third time's the charm. We heard Zach kind of, touch on it too. So does it feel like that to you, Will? Like there is maybe a sense of urgency with the team to, hey, man, we got to get something done this year?
Yeah, it's tough as a player, I think, because you never know what's going on in the front office. You could be traded at a moment's notice, and then you've got to move to a different city and be on a different team and acclimate and try to just figure out life with a new organization. So that could always be the case from a player's perspective. But I do think, and this is kind of what Vooch was saying, just to clarify those remarks that he made in that Jake Fisher column from a couple of months ago about this being the last dance, they have a chance to, this is the third try, and they have a chance to do something well. And if they can't, it's like, you have to imagine AK's probably going to be thinking, like, what are we doing here? And I don't think, he wasn't trying to be overly dramatic, or he wasn't trying to like stir the pot or anything like that. It was more just like, it's kind of how it works. Like, just thinking common sense here. If things aren't working and they're still not working, and let's try again and they're still not working, you're probably going to at some point see some changes. And so I do think there's a bit of pressure and sense of urgency to try to figure this thing out, because I really do think all these guys like each other. I think they enjoy playing together, and I think they want to succeed. None of them are complacent, even with just like getting into that 8th seed. They want to do better than that, and I think they believe they can. But at the end of the day, like, the NBA is what the NBA is, and no team, floats around in mediocrity for too long. Maybe longer than some people want, but that's still not that long.
Let's get to some comments from people chiming in on this Vooch conversation. It's an interesting discourse, because Bulls fans, as we know over the last few years, the dichotomy of how Bulls fans feel about Vooch is just wild to me. Yeah. But I think there's some smart kind of stuff in here. Our guys, Football CF Candy, said, I think it's key. They've identified they want to utilize Vooch more as a connective piece rather than just saying, we're going to randomize the offense and waiting for Lonzo to get back. I think that's a great point. Our guy Jamal from Bull Central, what's up, buddy? Saying Vooch is my biggest surprise player this season, predicting he's going to be the most impactful player on the court this year. Meanwhile, Andrew saying Vooch hitting ahead out of his defensive rebounds with Zach and Paw on the break sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot.
Vooch can make outlet passes, man. Like, he's capable of doing it.
We talked about that last year, remember? Because we were like, we want him to get that. And then, like you would talk about often, that trailing 3. Like, it's the same thing. Yeah.
We got to take our first break. Will, you get to stick with us through our ad break and hang out for another segment? Because I want to talk more with you about your Vooch combo.
Let's do it.
Woo! Quaffin! Big Dave, tell the people out there in Bulls Nation about the great deals at Ray Chevy. Ray!
Oh! Ray Chevy. That's where you get the great deals, because I know you're in the market for a new car. Winter time's coming, man. You got to take that old car. You don't want to keep taking it, trying to get it repaired. It's not going to make it through the winter. You live in Chicago, all right? It's not going to go down like that. Get yourself a new vehicle, and the place to do that at is our guy, Ray Chevy. Oh, because he has now joined the CHGO team. I did a little move right there. Hope you liked it. And, of course, they got the Ray Price Promise. It's a guarantee that the price you see online is the price you will pay when you go to the dealership. It won't be none of that stuff when you get there. They're like, well, I don't know. Are you in the Army? I don't know. Are you an astronaut? I don't know. Are you an astrophysicist? I mean, who knows? We can't give that deal to you. Ray said bump that.
I'm actually an astrophysionaut, Dave.
So
do I get a double discount?
Actually, you get $50 added to yours, sir. So sorry, not gonna work out. No, but Ray said he don't care what you do. It's the Ray Price Promise. That's what you're gonna get up in here, man. So don't you even worry about it. The price you see online is the price you pay, with no add-ons to the price ever. And in fact, Ray is going to do everything possible to make additional savings for you, which makes the price lower than the one that you're seeing online. So he's going to go digging through the couches for some loose change for you, just so he can go ahead and get you in the vehicle that you want. As one of the top selling dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories. And you can save big at Ray Chevy during their truck or treat savings.
I love that.
Yes, you heard him, because 0% is back and now available on the new Silverado trucks, the perfect tailgate vehicle. That's what it is. So come on in to Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake and find the vehicle you've been searching for. And best of all, pay zero hidden fees with the Ray Price Promise, y'all. Oh, I should get that across my chest. The Ray Price Promise. Visit Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com, serving the community since 1963. Find new roads and let those roads lead you to Ray Chevrolet.
Bam. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. We were just at the bullpen earlier this afternoon. I overheard Sarah talking about her latest swing through Sunnyside. Always a happy customer.
Always.
As will you. Be a happy customer when you swing through your nearest Sunnyside dispensary, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of their high-quality products. Sunnyside's got everything you need to elevate your football season. So after you get your awesome deal at Ray Chevy, drive that car home, park it where you park it, get on up to your living room, get yourself some snacks and some beverages.
That's right.
And get yourself some Sunnyside products. Enjoy your football Sunday.
That's right.
They offer, of course, their easy online ordering system at sunnyside.shop. I want that. Add to cart. Then go pick it up at store. Get on your merry way. They've got flour. They've got tinctures, the vapes, of course, the chargers, and a beautiful bounty of different kinds of edibles. They got chocolate if you like the chocolate. They got gummies if you're a gummy person.
He is.
I'm actually made of gummy. Whatever you want, you can find it at Sunnyside. Now, through October 15th, head to sunnyside.shop and use promo code CHGO25 at checkout for 25% off your total order. One use per customer. Not stackable with their other promotions, but it's not just for first-time customers. Every time you shop at sunnyside.shop, just use that promo code CHGO25 at checkout, and you will get 25% off your order. That is 1/4 off the price.
That's math.
Pick up everything you need to elevate your football season at sunnyside.shop. Must be 21 and over or an Illinois Med card holder.
Touchdown.
Moving along with our convo centered around Vooch, the man in the middle. Will, one of the other things that I liked about your convo with him that I hope you can expound upon a bit more is what Vooch had to say about when their offense got stuck or got in trouble last season. It's because their initial action didn't work. And then after the initial action didn't work, especially if it was a dribble handoff or a simple pick and roll, then it was a bunch of people staring around waiting for somebody to do something. What did you make of that part of your conversation with Vooch, and what more can you tell us?
Yeah, I mean, it's like we're all watching the same thing. If we see it and they're agreeing with it, like that's how it's going down. And I can't imagine that style of play was that much fun for anybody, maybe not named DeMar or Zach, who really had a chance to be that outlet. And obviously that I'm just speculating that's not something that he said, but I just think that the Bulls need to do a better job of like getting to that next piece of the possession, whether it's the first action or the second action, whatever it is. And I think, as we talked about, like, Vooch can be the guy that transitions it there. I think with his passing ability, the fact that he can score, the fact that he can play out of the high post, top of the key, the low post, like, there's many ways that you can try to use him. And I think the Bulls are excited to explore some of those different ways. Last year, we saw him coming off of double drags or double pin down actions from the corner and getting into plays where he was the guy getting the handoff, and he could make a play out of that. So I think they're willing to try some new stuff, and I think they will because they know they need to. But I guess the whole point is, like, you can't depend, and it's the same thing we've been hearing, like, you can't just depend on DeMar and Zach to bail you out every single time. It's just too much to ask of any one guy, and it bogs you down. It doesn't make anybody around them better. And so they need to do, as a group, a much better job of making sure that everybody's involved, making sure that guys get easier and cleaner looks throughout the course of a possession. Because if you've got a couple of possessions now where guys have good shots and they're in rhythm, that becomes, the defense has to guard those guys. And then it becomes easier for DeMar and Zach when they do have to kind of take over or step into a slow it down and let me get my own shot kind of a game. It makes it easier for them to make a play for themselves, or maybe another guy's just feeling it. He's got that hand. So I just think, like, all these things accumulate over the course of a possession, over the course of a quarter, a game. And I think if you can just start to knock over some of the initial dominoes, then it's going to look like a totally different product.
Well, how would you like to see Vooch become more involved in the offense? Do you want to see him touching the ball early or late in the shot clock? Do you want to see him passing out of the block more, or hanging around the three-point line a little more and running it from there? Like, how do you want to see him more involved in this offense?
I think it's kind of what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, where I think having Vooch be the one that's sort of initiating actions allows guys like Zach and Kobe to play off of screens, to come off of pin downs. You see, and we've talked about, like, the post splits that the Warriors run, where Vooch is on the block in this case, and Kobe and Zach are setting screens for one another. One slips to the basket, the other pops for three. And it's like, it's chaos. It's impossible to figure out how to guard that. And even if both of those guys are defended, now you've still got Vooch on the block with the ball, and you can make a play out of that, whether he's finding a shooter on the opposite corner or he can just go to work himself. So I like that as a concept. That takes a lot of energy and effort and execution at a really high level to be able to sustain, and that's why the Warriors are so amazing. But it's something that I think the Bulls can easily implement into their actions. The other thing is, like, the pistol five where, you know, Domantas Sabonis or Bam Adebayo has the ball at the top of the key and he's just got shooters coming off. And, you know, whether it's a dribble handoff into a three, or you've got some floppy action where guards are setting screens for each other under the basket and then coming off of pin downs on either side. There's just so much that you can get going with guys like Zach, like Kobe, like Patrick, who can come off of screens and then make plays. Because if these guys have the ball on the move, it's just going to open things up. You're not attacking a guy who's set defensively. And having that initial advantage, I think, can really go a long way for a guy like Patrick or Kobe, who may need a little extra help as they develop. So I think that's a crucial way to do it. And, I kind of asked Vooch, like, why don't you guys run more of that stuff? Like, why isn't that a part of your game? And he was like, I don't really know why we haven't done it that way, but that's basically the whole emphasis of this training camp, is trying to figure out how to implement that stuff, because we think it'll make us a lot better.
I mean, what I hear as a fan when I hear that, who knows some basketball but is certainly no genius, and you're asking a player, a multi-time all-star NBA player who still is playing damn good basketball, why isn't your team doing this thing that could be useful for your team to do schematically? And that player says, I don't know. And you just asking the question, how do we implement that? My fan brain goes, coaching. Hello? Coaching. It's the same reason Bears fans are pissed about coughing up a 28-7 lead.
Eber sucks.
In the second half of a game in which the coach made some head-scratching decisions down the stretch. was there any part of y'all's conversation about implementing these new offenses where Vooch said the word coaching at all? Just like, I mean, Justin Fields said the word coaching, or like the phrase could be coaching, and Bears fans and the media all exploded. Like, but do you, so two-part question. Did Billy come up in your conversation with Vooch at all about implementing these new offensive styles? And what is your take on how responsible Billy is for making these changes happen?
Billy did not come up from Vooch. And I guess, like, there's a couple of different ways to look at it. And I think the people who just say Billy doesn't know ball don't know ball, because Billy Donovan has been a defensive mastermind his entire career. He's always a top 10 defense, no matter what his personnel is. And I think especially with a team where you have 3 offense first players who are not known as defenders at all, to be a top 5 defense is insane. I mean, that is just truly a remarkable accomplishment. They were the best defense in the league after the All-Star break. I mean, that does not happen by accident, certainly over any stretch of sample size, right? Like they were really, really good. And you don't do that without a good game plan and good execution of it. So I'll say that first. And I think the offensive part is not on any one person. I think there is blame to go around. I think at points, whether it's subconscious or not, like the Bulls fall victim to the fact that they have so much talent. Like, why do we need to buy into something if I can just go get a jumper whenever I want? I think that can be DeMar and Zach's mentality, not to criticize them, but just to say, like, those guys get good shots whenever they want, but that doesn't necessarily make you a good offense. It makes you a good scorer, but they need a little bit more from that on the whole. Billy Donovan is a player's coach. He wants to empower his players to do the things that they're best at. And I think the Bulls have done that. Like they've had opportunities to give DeMar the ball and let him be the scorer that he is. They've given Zach the opportunity to be an all-star caliber scorer, an elite scorer in this league. But I think now it's more about, like I said, finding the adjustments. So I don't blame Billy for this more than I blame the players or the front office for putting together a roster that simply doesn't have enough shooting to where there's space on the court for this stuff to work properly. I get the frustration with Billy. I don't think he is like the one to blame, but I think they're all taking accountability in the right ways, which is like, it's not you're doing something wrong. It's like, how do we fix this problem? It's like everybody's getting in a conference room together and trying to understand why the problem is happening. They know there's a problem. You've got to understand why the problem is happening so that you can try to figure out how to solve the problem. And I think Billy is more than capable of putting together an offense that does that. It's about everybody else buying into that. Could he hold guys more accountable to where they have to do that? Sure. But there's also been opportunities for him to do that, such as the Magic game last year when he benched Zach down the stretch and the Bulls still lost. And then there was like some weird, tension between them for a little while. That happens too. So nobody's perfect. I don't think he's like an offensive mastermind. He certainly doesn't have the personnel to be able to run a post-split heavy triangle offense that the Warriors run. Could they be better? Yes. I think they're obviously trying that. And it took longer than it probably needed to in order for us to get to this point. But I don't blame Billy more than I blame the players or the front office for this. I think there's blame to go around when a team this talented is as bad as they were on offense as a whole.
Well, one of the things I'm interested to see is how Vooch's minutes are kind of delegated this year. One, because he played 82 games last year. He's getting much older, but we want to see him more involved in the offense. So how do you think that balance is going to work there? Like not putting so much on him, but still trying to get him more involved, with this team and in this offense, because it feels like it's easy to say put him with the second unit and then he can be that number one guy there. But then I immediately think about Andre Drummond and, maybe he's developing, some continuity with those second unit guys. So Where do you see can that work for Vooch?
What's your starting front court if Vooch ain't in it?
I'm saying your second unit. No, I said second unit when I was talking about Andre Drummond.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought for a second you were suggesting Vooch not being in the starting unit.
No, I said second unit. No, calm down.
I had many strokes.
Put the knife down, man. It's okay. It's all right. I'm just wondering, can he be in the second unit? But also, how do you do that if you got a guy who's played 82 games but is like a 50-year veteran that you don't want to play all the time?
You're talking about staggering Vooch and having his minutes also bleed into the second unit.
Yeah, how would that work? Okay. You know what I'm saying? That's the question I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like line shifts like in hockey, right? Like they're mixing guys in. Last year it was, bring DeMar out of the game a little bit early, 4 or 5 minutes left in the first quarter. You bring DeMar out, you let Zach and Vooch play together, and then you bring Zach out and you let DeMar play with the second unit. You bring Zach and Vooch out and let DeMar kind of handle the young guys. I think that we are going to see a lot of different lineup combinations. They've got some new guys to mix in. They've got injuries and minutes to manage with Caruso, with Vooch. Neither of the guys are hurt, by the way, just in terms of keeping them fresh over the course of 82 games. They're just going to have to try a bunch of stuff, and they know this. Like they're willing to. That's their emphasis. That's their focus of training camp, is trying to figure out what works. At the end of games, when it matters the most, Vooch is going to be out there with Zach and DeMar, and I think that's where they're going to have to learn how to play differently. But over the course of a game, I mean, there's going to be lineups where Vooch is the primary guy. There's going to be lineups where he's the third guy, and he is not like complaining about getting more touches. He's trying to figure out how he can be best utilized in the flow of an offense, regardless of who's on the floor around him, to where guys are just getting easier and better shots. So I think there's going to be management. There's going to be lineup changes. There's going to be rotations. Like we kind of talked about yesterday, I think there's going to be different starters over the course of the year, over the course of preseason for sure, at that 1 and 4 spot, just to kind of see what works. But then, of course, throughout the course of games, you're going to have different lineups mixed in there as well.
Mentioning, Vooch not complaining about a lack of touches as part of this conversation about shifting the Bulls offense and maybe having him play a bigger / different role. People who watch and listen to our show, diehard Bulls fans, probably also noticed that our pal Joe Cali of the Sun-Times had a piece about Vooch that came out down from Nashville. And there was a quote, speaking, as you said earlier, Will, of people wanting to throw names and grenades and headlines. That's why we know and love Joe. Get a kick out of him sometimes. He had some quotes from Vooch in there that were pretty, eye-grabbing, including which Vooch saying, because he was talking about Bulls fans who have been loudly anti-Vooch since his arrival, and Vooch acknowledging that those Bulls fans are out there and saying, yes, Bulls fans on Twitter are the ones who I see or hear about saying things like that. And from my perspective, Vooch's perspective, it's people who don't fully understand basketball, in that when I came here, I sacrificed a larger part of my previous role than the roles that Zach and or DeMar have asked to been sacrificing. And it didn't sound accusatory. It was just Vooch's way of explaining why Bulls Vooch is not Magic Vooch.
Right.
And I think it was fair of him to point that out. But do you think if we reach a certain point in the season where they try this and fall back to their old habits, their old routines, that we could start to see a frustrated Vooch? Because I think I believe Vooch when he says it's not about touches. I want us to win.
Yeah.
But if the wins aren't coming and they're regressing back to their old ways, then what happens?
Right.
Well, I think that's why they regress back to their old ways, right? Because the wins weren't coming. It was, all right, screw this. Let's just go back to what we know we're good at. So I think there has to be scenario. Yeah, I think there has to be more of a concerted effort from the group at large to commit to a certain style of play so that they don't run into that. Because it's not always going to work. They're going to have to fight through difficult times. Like we've talked about beating adversity so much on this show. There's going to be a lot of that. And they need to figure out how to stay bought into a scheme that allows them to hopefully at the end of the day come out better, even if at times it's not working well. Because, and we talked about this I talked about this with Vooch today, like when you put together big threes, the big man is the one that suffers. Kevin Love with the Cavs, Chris Bosh with the Heat. Like those are the guys that have to take a step back. And I think the reason is there's a couple of reasons. One is the offense isn't going through them in the sense that, they need a guard to get them the ball, right? They're not grabbing a rebound and bringing it up. Unless you're Jokic, you're not like the true point guard of the team. And so if other guys, or there isn't a real true table setter on the team, it's harder for Vooch to get the ball in his spots. And he's not the one that everybody else is playing through. So his numbers don't look the same, but it's more than just points per game. And it's more than just assists per game, even for a guy that I think needs to be more of the primary passer on this team. I don't know how Vooch's attitude will change. I'm not going to speculate on that. But I think they're all at a place, and I certainly felt this last year during bad losses where guys were frustrated. They want to win. They have pride. They're really talented, and they have a lot of belief in what they can do. And so when you lose bad games, it sucks. They don't want to be in that position. So I think that's part of this could be the last thing, because if we've done this for 3 straight years now, and even if we come in with the right mentality, we want things to change, we're going about it the right way, we think we have a good plan. If it doesn't work, then what do we turn to? And if the answer is back to the same thing that also doesn't work, then after 3 years, you have to kind of start to think about where you are.
Where we talk a lot about the players that Vooch helps, or can help potentially if you're running the offense through him and allowing him to be him. But who is the player, in your opinion, that can help Vooch, like maybe reach the level that we kind of want to see him get to? Like, is there a player that can help him do that, or is it just one that you don't think exists?
Especially among the competition in the backcourt right now.
Correct.
Like, is there an ideal pairing that you see, whether it be Kobe, Javon, Ayo, who can bring the best out of Vooch and vice versa?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean that's something that the Bulls have really been missing without Lonzo. Is even though Lonzo's not the Chris Paul type of floor general, he's a really good passer. He understands where guys need the ball. And Vooch is going to be trailing a lot of plays, and that means somebody needs to get the ball back to him in order to get the next play. Or somebody has to get him the ball in the post so that he can make the kick-out pass, or so that he can get a smaller guy on him and put him in the basket. So I guess it's kind of hard to say. That's an interesting perspective on it, because I've been thinking about it in terms of how can Vooch help everybody else. But you're absolutely right to say somebody needs to help Vooch in order for him to help other people. So I think that's going to be on DeMar and Zach, because they have the ball the most. But I think also, everybody who's touching it, like you want everybody's hands on the ball over a course of a possession. And for guys to be in the right spots, they need to be directed around. I think DeMar and Zach are most responsible for that, just given the fact that they have the ball so much.
I like this comment from Rosette999 in the comments. Vooch has that point guardsmanship. Bulls should use it more.
It's catching on.
Bring it back. Dude, that's when we know the Bulls are fully back.
That's
when
right.
People are busting out point guardsmanship in the comments.
I love it.
We'll let you go. Appreciate the time, man. Everybody, if you haven't done so yet, go to allchgo.com. Read Will's latest, which is a Q&A with Bulls big man Nikola Vucevic that they had earlier today. Great stuff in there. And, of course, follow along for all Will's updates from training camp down in Nashville. Will_Gottlieb. They got one more practice on deck tonight. Go have fun at practice, Will.
See you guys.
Bye.
The GOAT.
That's the GOAT.
In Nashville.
Quaffing them.
Quaffing. Quaffing all the time.
Quaffing all the time.
Every day I'm quaffing it.
Quaffing all the time. Quaffing all the time.
Was that party all the time?
Correct.
Yeah. All right, let's take our second break. We'll come back and wrap up with a few other things. There was an interesting Billy quote from yesterday that I wanted to give a bit more attention to, amongst other things. While we are sharing words from these friends and sponsors of ours, if you didn't do so the first time, if you haven't done so yet, hit that thumbs up button for us. Just like the old Voochie double thumb.
Voochie double thumb.
Click it.
Hey, Voochie double thumb.
Hey, Voochie double thumbs.
Double thumbs over here. That's how it goes. You like that, Joe? Dug it? All right.
Voochie Double Thumbs. That might be my nickname for him for the entire season.
That's what he is?
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I really don't.
You know, like Voochie Mane is a great nickname.
It is.
When he makes those big plays,
It
Voochie
is.
Mane, or just yelling Vooch,
Yes.
like Bulls fans used to yell Luke.
Yes, correct.
Voochie Double Thumb.
Double thumbs. Can't beat it. Joey, do me a favor. Somebody had asked a Shady Rays question in the chat. I need you to bring that up and put that on the screen for me one time.
Right there on the lower third.
Yeah, right there. That's the one.
Yeah, I think I saw that too. It was
Yeah,
about the lost and broken replacement plan.
Leave that right there, sir, because we're going to do a service today. They're going to do a service today. I didn't get a text from Baby Joey. He hit me yesterday. What's up, Joe? He hit me yesterday and told me, he's going to be out of the country for a minute.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Doing some things with George Clooney.
Wow.
So, I mean, I don't know, man.
What a life.
I mean, it's just an incredible life.
What a life he must
told me he's
lead.
going to learn how to fly a single engine plane. So, I mean, George is letting him do that, I guess. You know what I mean?
What the hell am I doing with my life?
That's what everybody asks when it comes to Baby Joey. Like, you just don't know because we don't understand. We don't get it. We don't understand. We don't get it. Why? Why, y'all? Why? Why are these glasses so expensive? We don't get it. I don't get it. Joey don't get it. Matt don't get it. Nobody gets it. But you know who understands and gets it? Shady Rays. You know why? Because they said, we don't like it. We're going to do something about it. Shady Rays, y'all. The independent sunglasses company offering that world-class product just as good as any expensive pair you have put on your beautiful, sexy face. The durable frames, the extremely clear optics for your outdoor, and as this handsome gentleman is going to prove to you right now, your indoor Invenciones. Look at them. Plus, of course, they offer the Matt Peck Lost and Broken Replacements Plan. Scared Joey just a tad on that one, just a tad.
Line drive to first base.
That's right. You didn't throw it directly at the glass. You hit the floor a little bit, so it wouldn't make a big noise.
The Bulls hat I'm wearing today is a chunky one.
Oh, okay.
And like the brim is real sturdy.
Yeah.
I didn't want to like crack the glass.
Wow.
So that's why I threw it down.
You're a pro.
I'm considerate. I'm a considerate coworker.
Yeah, you felt that, Joe. Yes, he's a considerate coworker. Yes, I like that in him, y'all. But let's say when he throws that solid brimmed hat at that glass and it goes splat, sprack, and breaks like that, well then guess what? His glasses will be upset. He will be angry. He will then take those glasses, though. He will put them in an envelope and send them right on back to Shady Rays, and they will send him a new pair, no questions asked. And also, just to answer your question, Anthony, sir, even if you break those glasses on day one, and I'm just going to read you exactly what they say, you can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. So yes, my friend,
right there in the
you're
ad copy.
all good.
Right there in the ad
right
copy.
Right there, sir. Right here. Long after the purchase, you can send them back in, get you your Shady Rays on, sir. Also, let's say you have those glasses and they saw you, Anthony, walking around out there with those glasses on, and people say, I like them 3 or 4-year-old Shady Rays glasses he got. And then they go and they try to get them and they realize they can't be Anthony. Oh no. But you can look on that website, find another cool pair, send that pair that you bought, send it back in. As long as you do it within 30 days, that new pair that you're getting, you will get it for free. But also, Shady Rays Impact, y'all. Shady Rays providing much needed support to nonprofit partners across the U.S., from building play sets for pediatric cancer patients to providing young adults with MS the outdoor adventure of a lifetime. Shady Rays is making an impact in your community and others like it now and for years to come. So exclusively for the listeners out there, Shady Rays giving away their best deal of the season. Go to ShadyRays.com, use the promo code CHGO for 50% off of 2+ pairs of premium polarized shades. The shades that are rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people, because the Shady Rays, y'all, well, the Rays are just, so shady.
Try it for yourself. Oh my goodness.
Over here, honey.
Hey, over here, honey. You gotta try these Shady
try
Rays.
it for yourself.
Try it for yourself.
He's 32.
He's 16. Why does he sound like that? You know what goes great with Shady Rays?
What's that, Matt?
Ice cold Goose Island.
That's fair and factual. Look at it now. It's working.
Proving it to you right now. CHGO is supported by the Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer since 1988.
Yeah.
Y'all know their impeccable beer roster. The Hong Kongs. Thank you, Joe.
Quack, quack.
Oktoberfest that time of year. It is literally October. Drink to Fest, named after the month in which we are in.
Yes.
And of course, the Beer Hug family. I'm having myself a hazy hug right now.
Hazy.
Delicious.
Yes.
The 312 Wheat Ale, a big popular one, which, that reminds me, shout out. Our CHGO head of content, Kevin Kadick, I don't know if you saw his tweet today.
Shout out.
Will be running the Chicago Marathon this weekend.
Yes, he will.
And he had a rep from Goose Island on the CHGO Marathon pod with him earlier today.
Flex.
And he's running as a representative of CHGO and Goose Island.
Wow.
They got him I think they call them the bibs, like your little number when you run a marathon.
Yeah.
His bib number, 312.
Wow.
Of all of the hundreds, probably thousands of people that run the Chicago Marathon, number 312 Chicago Marathon participant, our very own Kevin Kadick.
I like it.
That is the dopest shit.
I dig it. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
So,
Pretty.
you know what's also dope, not quite as dope as that, but also dope, have yourself a 312.
Yeah.
Or a full pocket Pilsner. Me and Big Dave's newest favorite in the Goose family. Grab an Ultra Fresh Brewery exclusive beer at Goose Island's original brew house on Clybourne Ave in Lincoln Park, or from their tap room right around the corner here, Fulton Street in Westtown.
That's right.
Goose Island Beer Company. It's Chicago's beer.
That's right.
And drinking it just feels like a hug.
Oh, feels good. Drink responsibly, kids.
Big Dave hugs were aplenty last night. Well, speaking of which, before we have a quick final chat about the Bulls for today's show, before I forget, shout out to Circus Sports.
Yes.
Who hosted a really fun gathering at Old Crow in Wrigleyville last night.
A lot of fun.
A bunch of us CHGO folk came out to show our support to Circa, and we appreciate them supporting us. Big Dave came all the way to Wrigleyville.
Yeah. One no thing.
Hanging out on the north side.
Yeah.
And also, it was cool because there were a bunch of other Chicago sports media people there.
Yes.
We got to chat with Joey. I don't know if you're going to be okay with this, but we did have a nice, friendly, friend-of-me chat with our pal Shane Reardon from 670 last night.
I have no problem with that.
Oh, no?
No problem, Joe?
No.
All right.
There was a lot of softball talk.
There was.
Oh, there was.
And Dave and I felt great being able to talk shit, having done nothing to help our CHGO softball team.
Neither did I this season.
To a championship.
I played in only one game, so.
Yeah. No, Joe, I don't think you've ever seen me and Matt on the same page when we're being assholes. I don't think you've ever seen that before.
No, I don't think so either. But
you know what I mean?
I would hate that.
It's
I already know I would hate that.
Us is, you know what I mean? We got that in us. Matt's more blunt with his, and I'm more.
Yeah, yours is more passive aggressive.
I'm
like
more
you probably
jerkish.
saw him and
mine
we're
is
like,
more jerkish.
Hey Shane, what'd you do last night? Oh, the game, right? I forgot about that.
I was gonna let it slide. I was like, oh, this is nice. This is a friendly little, bonding session between different Chicago media people.
Oh no, I asked.
Dave is the one who kept bringing it up. He was like, hey Shane, how'd that game go? How'd it go,
man?
I was like, all right, we're doing this.
And I appreciate him too, man, because he was very straight up about everything. You know what I'm saying? And he's awesome.
They're a very
Shane
good
is
team.
really awesome, dude. He really is.
And I feel for them. They've lost in the championship, I think, 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Respect to them. They care a lot. It's like it makes the league fun. So it's all love. It's all love between us.
The funniest part was I was like, dog, y'all the Buffalo Bills. And the minute I said that, somebody with a Buffalo Bills 1991 AFC Championship shirt walked over. And me and Chris Tannehill just started cracking up when we saw it.
Was it another member of the Odyssey softball team?
No, man. But it was so much fun, dog. It was just talking to them.
I had never met before and finally got to meet Chris Tannehill.
Yeah.
An incredible producer.
I nerded out with Chris. Yes, I did.
Joey, don't get jealous. We love you. Chris Tannehill's production work
oh my God.
Just insane.
It's
and
out of control.
I've always wanted to tell him that. I'm glad that I got the chance to tell him that last night.
Me too.
Dude is
felt good to tell him that.
So skilled.
Yeah, man.
I don't know if he was there when you were there. I got to say what's up to Sylvie yesterday at that event.
Oh, Sylvie was
Mark
there?
Silverman, a.k.a. known as Sylvie, Chicago sports fans from ESPN 1000.
Oh, man.
The nicest guy.
Yeah.
It's just incredible sports radio career in Chicago. And if you recall, was on hashtag Team Bulls Outsiders.
Yes.
When a certain elder statesman of Chicago sports media was giving a shit.
Yes.
Sylvie was behind us.
He was.
And I got to thank him for that. So that was cool.
That was cool. I did get a chance to see my man Danny Parkins.
Parkins, yeah.
And I got to meet him and talk to him, man. So that was awesome and cool as well, man. But No, it was just a lot of cool people. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, meeting those guys from the score who I tell them I listen to y'all all the time.
Yeah.
Like just on some fan shit. Like I really enjoy what you all do, you know. So to be able to tell Shane and Chris and Danny that is awesome for me. You know what I mean? Shout out to my guy Ray, who was there, you know, with the bald head and the beard. He's an awesome human being.
Maybe the best beard in Chicago right now.
Yeah, maybe.
Impressive.
Yes. It is impressive. It is really impressive. So yeah, we hung out tough, man. We had a really, really fun night, dog. You know what I'm saying? I met some really cool people. Like you said, a lot of hugs were given out. It was fun.
I must say, like, I got here earlier and some people he was chatting with Casey and Emma and Cody. And, and I was like, what's up, Cody? He was like, man, I'm pretty tired. You know, he was like, yeah, I was out late last night. I don't know if he was like, I was at Sluggers with Big Dave and a few other people. And
he was.
And I was like, oh, yeah, good. I'm glad y'all had fun. And I was like, look, when I left Old Crow last night, it was like around 8:30, maybe 8:45. And I was like, if I don't leave right now, I'm going to be out drinking with Dave until an hour that is too late. Because once Dave is out, I'm out. He's out. And I know and have learned over the years to take advantage of that.
Yes.
So if Dave's out, but now it's like, all right, you know what? Some of our other CHGO friends can have some Big Dave time. Because I've been there. And I've been the one who's like, Dave, come on, we got to stay out. We got to keep raging. And then the next day being like, oh, fuck my life.
What are you doing? And I'm like, hey, Matt, what's up? What's going on? No.
Which leads me to, I got to do I think it was 9:45 p.m., which was in Paris time, maybe 4:45. And I have a Twitter DM from you. Chatty Spathis, let me in if you're up. You were literally walking around the streets of Paris at 4:45 in the morning.
That's how Big Dave rolls, baby.
Yeah, it was fun. I had a really fun night. I really did. That was a fun
good
night.
Times. Also good to hang out with some of like the sales staff here at CHGO. Hanging out with Sarah, hanging out with Jim, hanging out with Chris. People who we get the office interactions. Just seeing our coworkers outside of a work environment is nice.
No, it was fun, man. Like meeting Sarah's guy, for the first time was cool. So he's a good guy. That's a good dude, man. So, shout out to him
one more time to Circus Sports for hosting. Awesome time.
And Mama Sarah, shout out to you. Shout out to Mama Sarah, dog.
Mama Sarah was out?
No.
Drinking at Sluggers last
night? No,
she
wasn't. No. Okay. But Sarah was just telling me, how much Mama Sarah loves me. And I ain't seen her in a while. So shout out Mama Sarah, dog.
I gotcha.
Want to see her soon.
Okay. Real quick, last thing I wanted to touch on is actually something that Billy said after their practice yesterday. And we didn't get to it. But it was a question about how some of these offensive changes might get put into place, but also a question of why Nashville.
Okay.
And his answer was, quote, we have to do something different. We can't just do the same thing and expect everything to be fine, end quote. After he said that, he then went on a weird monologue that I didn't fully understand.
Okay.
Because he started talking about technology in modern society and how it relates to communication between human beings and people on their smartphones, and how it's harder to actually truly connect as humans these days because of phones.
It's like an old man rant? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was an answer to, why'd y'all go to Nashville for training camp? And Billy was like, seriously, it had a little bit of an old man, in his rocking chair on the front porch yelling at kids to get off his lawn kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
To a degree, I agree with him. This smartphone never leaves my side.
Yeah.
And I'm staring at it way too many hours every single day.
Yeah.
And I hate it.
Yeah.
But also, that's how the world works now. We work on our phones. We communicate on our phones.
We do.
I didn't understand why it had anything to do with him trying to answer why they went to Nashville for training camp, other than phones are bad, so we went on a road trip. What?
Maybe he's saying that it's been too much of that, and this trip kind of removes that because everybody's just in together for a week or so. Because usually they aren't like that, during the season. Or you just show up to, practice, go home. And you're looking at your phone because it tells you what time you're supposed to be at practice. Because it tells you what time you're supposed to be at the game. So there's no real camaraderie or talking like this.
Yeah.
This is different because everybody's together, for a week. So you have to have a discussion. a great example of that is when we went to Paris.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes, I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, is we had that communication. We talked all the time about what we were doing, how we were going to do it. It wasn't, through a phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody was just connecting in that sense. So maybe that's kind of, what I'm saying, what he means by that.
Sometimes when it comes to relationships, I think like quantity equals quality. So, like these guys see each other every day, but like this is really spending like extended amount of time together, going out of your way to like bond. So, I mean, do I think it's going to like lead to vastly different results on the court? No, but I do think like that's a good thing to have in your locker room. I'm a believer of, the brotherhood and whatnot, but I do think that like a trip like this will be good for the team.
Yeah. I mean, and like, I think that is a fair point to validate some of what Billy is saying. I think the reason it kind of stood out to me as a little weird and a little silly is not just because of the old grumpy guy who doesn't like smartphone technology rant that came on the back end of it, but being a question framed as why Nashville and your answer being we have to do something different. We can't do the same thing and expect everything to be fine. As a Bulls fan, you're like, are you referring to the fact that last season was not fine and you fell woefully short of your team's goals and expectations, which were to be a playoff team again, and you didn't do that and you got to do something different? Because to me, as a Bulls fan, if the thing you do differently is just where you host your training camp, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. You're going to come back from Nashville and you're going to be the same group of players with the same flaws that you were a year ago.
Okay.
And there it is. I wasn't expecting that to get me this heated, but goddamn.
A trip to Nashville has made him upset. Oh, man. Philly went to Colorado. I don't even want to see what's going on right here, sir. But, yeah. I mean, they're trying something, like doing something different in that sense. But you're like, no, actually change what you're doing on the floor.
Change what you're doing on the floor. What did we just spend the first 40 minutes of today's show talking about?
No, I completely
Those
understand.
are the changes you need to be worried about.
Right. But they do feel they do feel very passionately about team. Like AK talked about that a lot when he got like everybody being one and together. They really feel passionately about that.
And it's like also, and I think Mark Eversley was answering a similar question about why Nashville when he did the 670 interview last week, saying the thing about they told us in their exit interviews they didn't really feel like a team.
Right, exactly.
Like, okay, well, like go bond.
Yeah.
But in between your bonding while you're practicing basketball stuff on a basketball court, maybe change some shit schematically as well.
Yeah, that will help a lot also. That will help also. So I guess they're doing that for that, and I think we'll see those changes on the floor, but I understand that frustration. Like, that shouldn't just be it. Like, if that's just it, we went on a trip, then Matt's anger is definitely well-deserved. But I don't think that's going to be it. I think we will see those changes also on the floor.
Like that scene in Remember the Titans when the buses come back and it's all like they're all like singing the same song and everybody's all happy and jovial, as opposed to at the beginning of summer, they all leave and like there's like segregated buses and everybody hates each other and all the parents waiting to pick them up at the parking lot are like,
what the heck?
Did they fucking drug them out there at football camp?
Get over here now. Get over here now.
Have they been hypnotized?
Let me see your eyes. What's going on?
No, not hypnotized. They've just been captivated by the beauty and brilliance of Denzel Washington.
This is fair, as all of us have been. This is true.
Just about out of time. One more quick shout out to our friends at FOCO. Football season is here.
It's here.
Get yourself fitted out with all the football gear you need, whether it's for your tailgate, you're going to the game, or just hanging out watching with your pals in the living room and want to look your Sunday football best. They got hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, everything in betwixt. Plus, shout out to them for providing some of our set decorations here in both Studios A and B.
Yes.
And CHGO Studios. If you go to their website, foco.com, FOCO.com, or click the link in the description here on YouTube. For all non-presale items, use the promo code CHGO at checkout for 10% off your order. Yes. There it is. You see it there. The little logo, the bobbleheads.
Hey, bobbleheads.
Foco.com, promo code CHGO, 10% off your order. Get everything you need for your football season.
Yes.
From FOCO. Yes. We are out of here.
Yeah.
they have another practice tonight.
Yes.
So make sure you are following Will_Gottlieb on Twitter for more updates from tonight's practice. Then I think they've got one more practice tomorrow morning that Will also be attending.
Right.
And then we'll make his way back to Chicago. Will and Mark K will have a training camp wrap-up episode HQ for y'all on Friday.
Correct.
And then, y'all ready for this?
Say it, Matt.
Episode number 5 this week will be on Sunday afternoon following Bulls versus Bucks, y'all. Post-game shows are almost back.
Back, baby. Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Oh,
Bulls basketball.
And it's at noon.
It's a noon on a Sunday and a week when the Bears play Thursday Night Football.
Correct.
So we don't even have to worry about Bears and Bulls and who we love more.
Nope.
Bulls.
It's Bulls.
Preseason game 1 this Sunday. We will have post game for y'all after that.
Bulls.
That is so dope.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm so happy.
Follow Big Dave on Twitter at BNWL Sports.
Bow.
Our pal producer Joey Spathis is at Joey Spathis.
Hey, Joey.
Joey 2 thumbs. I'm Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. Thanks for tuning in, Bulls fans. Hit that thumb on your way out if you haven't done so yet. And we will talk to you soon. See you, Remy. Good.
Peace.